Today's sponsor is Project Pals, an amazing collaborative workspace for students to create and work with projects. Stay tuned at the end of the show to learn more about getting started for free and how I'm using Project Pals in my classroom. Today, Amy Burns talks about Seesaw in the elementary music classroom. But you could do this for any type of artistic creation. Episode 392.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Seesaw in the music classroom. We have Amy Burns from New Jersey. She was 2016 New Jersey Master Music Teacher and has won many awards for both music and for teaching, which she's been doing for 23 years. Amy, how are you using Seesaw in the music classroom?
Well, Seesaw has been a game changer in my music classroom. So I teach pre-K through fourth grade general music, fifth grade instrument class as well. And Seesaw, which you can find at web.seesaw.me, is a free student digital learning portfolio. What it does is it allows the students to upload anything, videos, audio, music creations they create in the classroom, recorder videos if they're playing recorders for me. And what's really great is they don't need email addresses. They can use QR codes that Seesaw creates for your classroom, or they could use their email addresses if they are older and have that assigned by the school, and they upload these. The most wonderful part about this is that it's very private and the parents connect to it. So it's almost like a Facebook for parents, because when they connect to their child's journal, every time the child uploads a musical creation, a recording, a composition, a pitch exploration, the parent gets a notification on their phone and they can immediately see their child's work. So it's like taking your music classroom and putting it on your parents' mobile devices. And what's wonderful about Seesaw, it's cross-platform. It can work on Chromebooks, it's cloud-based, web-based. It's also an iOS app, Android, Kindle. So it works across a platform. And it's very simple to use, very intuitive, and it's absolutely free. There are paid subscriptions which give you more, like the journal following the student from pre-K to kindergarten to first to second in the Parents app. But it is a free one to just try and start using with one class.
So why is it such a game changer for you, besides the fact that basically kids are giving a recital every single time that they upload, right?
It's true. Being in education for over 20 years, one of the things I've always felt that's important is that the students are sharing what they're doing in the music classrooms, from their performances to their musical creations. And before Seesaw, it was challenging. We were using Wikipedias, like those type of wiki spaces. We were using, ThinkLink. We were using other ways to try. We were emailing. We were trying to create Facebook pages, but the privacy issues were always problematic. And with Seesaw, they keep everything very private. And when the parent signs up, and I know this because I have 2 children at my school, so I get their postings all the time. So when the parent signs up, the teacher sends out a generated email that Seesaw creates, or can give it to them in hard copy. The parent then signs up, says, "This is my child." The teacher approves it. And then the parent can actually comment. You can turn that off, but you can allow the parent to comment. So I encourage my kids all the time. And when I write a comment to them, the teacher has to approve it. Everything has to be through the teacher. So there's no way that something can go on there that's inappropriate. And it's absolutely wonderful. That game changer is that finally the students are getting it to an audience besides just at a concert time or just in the classroom. It's now going to their parents and their grandparents and anyone else their parents share it with. And Seesaw also has a blog feature, so I can connect to other classrooms using Seesaw and anywhere in the country and in the world.
So how has it changed the dynamic in your classroom? I mean, are the kids actually recording this on their own and uploading it? I mean, what's different?
Well, it depends on the age level, but yeah, most of the time it's student directed, which is great. So it's a student centered classroom, and it's really wonderful when the students say to me, "I want to do this for Seesaw. This is a Seesaw song. So can my parents see it? I would like to record it onto Seesaw." And it's just fabulous. Like they have this confidence that they created this music, or they're performing a music, or they have an orchestration where they play this great ensemble with the xylophones, and they're like, "Can you seesaw this so our parents can see it?" I mean, those are really fabulous things. That means that these children feel confident to share it with their parents, and that they want other people to hear and see it, and that's really beautiful.
And anytime a company name we start using it like a verb, then it usually means there's a little traction going on, doesn't it?
That is so true, isn't it? Yeah, like I always say, if you Google it, you're exactly right. Yeah.
So are there any mistakes that you've made using Seesaw with your music students?
I like putting out a newsletter every month of what's happening in first grade music, January edition, and I will proof it and think I've spelled everything correctly, and then I'll see that. But once you make a mistake like that, you can go back in and correct it, and it automatically updates, so the parent can see what you did to update it. I always don't like it when I make a spelling error, and I have done that before. Other mistakes, really, it's hard. It has to get past you. So if a student posts to the wrong journal, you stop that immediately. So it can't post. So it's really got a great way of being so intuitive and so private that you control it. Yet the students are really adding the content, but you are like the gatekeeper. So it's really hard to make a mistake, except spelling errors, which seems to be common for me.
So do you spend a lot of time monitoring all of this? I mean, are kids excited and they're sharing a lot? Are parents excited and sharing a lot? Or do you feel like you're using about the same amount of time you used before you started Seesaw?
Well, I have to say, I think Seesaw saves me time. I mean, what I was doing was emailing parents. So then I was, writing an email and explaining and making sure I had the right address and things like that. This is easy. They post it. The students do it. So they post their work. They reflect on it. You can give them higher order thinking questions for them to reflect on it. And really, you're just listening to it before you allow it to be posted. So that's really just the time it takes, is just to listen to what they're posting and reflecting on before you allow it in.
Okay, so your first book, Technology Integration in the Elementary Music Classroom, came out in 2008. It was 10 years ago. What has changed?
Wow. Technology just changes so quickly. So there's things in that book that actually are still applicable because the software is still around. But I would say in the last 10 years in technology, one of the nicest changes has been that it is cloud-based. So you're not losing things as much. You're not taking so much on your hard drive. I do like that change. The other thing changing is EdTech. I think educational technology has a lot of value, but there's always the concerns in articles that we constantly read that technology and what it's doing to children. But I always have to remind parents that we're talking about passive technology. You're talking about items like Fortnite and things they're doing at home, not educational technology. It is actually kind of interesting how students actually don't innately use educational technology. So when they actually do have these Chromebooks or iPads in their classroom and you're using it for that reason, they're actually learning it. Whereas using it for gaming systems is quite different. So I think the educational technology has improved greatly in 10 years and has brought the children to be able to do things they couldn't do before technology, like sharing music with children in other countries. I mean, that's amazing. And sharing music so easily to their parents' mobile devices. I think that's where it's improved wonderfully.
How about the eye-hand coordination? Because I've been reading some articles lately that just the fact that we're swiping and not holding pens and pencils and cutting as much is really harming the dexterity of students. Are you seeing that in your music program?
In the music program, it is interesting for their fine motor skills of them holding xylophone mallets. I do see it there, and just they have to kind of relearn it. They used to come in a little bit more intuitive on that. However, my kindergarten teachers will tell you, yes, they used to have children who were able to use a computer mouse, and they don't know how to use that anymore. And they say, yeah, they have a hard time holding markers now. There is something to be said to that, and I'm not sure where that will lead in the future, but there is credence to those articles and that research.
There is. I mean, the technology can bring great things with it, but it can also bring concerns with it. And we know that young children need to play, and music is just so fantastic. And it's important to listen to lots of different types of music. Do you feel like students have a different appreciation for music now? Do you feel like you have to entertain them more with the kind of music that they like? Or are you able to develop an appreciation for a wide variety of music?
That's a great question, Vicki. When I was studying this past summer, I was studying Dr. Feyerabend's first step, Dr. John Feyerabend, who studied with Dr. Gordon, and also he's influenced by Zoltan Kodály. And if you know Zoltan Kodály's music approach, it's all about based around wonderful, really excellent music. And it's interesting, and that's folk songs because Zoltan Kodály was from Hungary. And I really think it depends on where you teach. If you can start teaching with folk songs and songs that are, generational and just, those types of beautiful songs, then you should start with that. It's something that children don't hear a lot, and it's very easy for them to pick up and sing and start singing in tune and feeling confident in singing. However, if you're not in a community or an area that would really connect with kids, and you've got to pick the music that will connect with the kids. I think that's so important. You want to teach them about all different styles of music. You should be starting with the one that connects with them most. You must be able to connect with them before you can really engage them in the teaching that you want to teach. So it is important to know their music, and it is important to showcase their music. Especially if you're in an area where the music might not be a style that you always listen to.
Yeah, I mean, some music teachers cringe at hip hop, right?
Right. But, they're allowed to cringe at it. But if that is the area they work in and those children constantly listen to hip hop, they need to bring it into their classroom. Even if it's just a discussion of, I'm going to play this song. Tell me what it is you like about it. What is it that appeals to you? Because you're going to connect to your kids and you're going to learn something new. Like, what is it about hip hop that these children love that you don't particularly enjoy? It's a really great conversation. It makes them reflect, and it makes them use musical terms to try and tell you what it is they love about it. So I think it's very important to connect to your students and work with the music that they enjoy as well as the music that you enjoy.
Well, we have to relate before we educate, and that means we have to relate to their music as well. Amy Burns has really taken us inside the modern music classroom and given us new ways to connect with parents. And anytime we can connect more closely with parents and connect more closely with our students, that's very much a positive. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Vicki.
Today's sponsor is Project Pals. Project Pals has a useful classroom collaborative platform that lets you create and manage projects for your students. Right now, my students are creating and managing a project as they're creating a podcast to record powerful stories from the recent storms in our area. Project Pals connects with Google Classroom, but also lets me see the detail on which students are contributing and participating. I also love the task board, which is a Trello-like Kanban board that lets students create, assign, and complete tasks. You can also link in Google Docs and do brainstorming and so much more. It's really a very powerful tool. I will be featuring this tool on my blog and newsletter this week. So go to projectpals.com. That's projectpals.com and sign up today.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.